Please take your seats, everybody. Good morning. All right. We'll call this meeting to order. 8:34. Notice is hereby given of a regular meeting of the City of San Angelo Development Corporation to be held on October 27th, 2021 at 8:30 at the McNeese Convention Center, South Meeting Room, 501 Rio Concho Drive, San Angelo, Texas, for the purpose of considering the following agenda items. Number one, we'll call the meeting to order. Two, if you could, Director Barrio, lead us in prayer.
If you would bow with me. Heavenly Father, we are so thankful for the privilege to live in this fine city of San Angelo, Texas. Thank you for its citizens. Thank you for the environment you give to us. As we conduct the business of this corporation, Lord, we remember that the monies are ultimately yours, but they come from the taxpayers, and we serve as stewards of the taxpayers in the management of those funds. Help us to make wise and informed decisions. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Thank you. Okay, number three, public comment. Issue or items that are not on the agenda may be raised by the public at this time. Citizens should speak from the podium, begin by stating their name, and limit their remarks to less than 3 minutes. Board members may request that a discussed item be placed on a future agenda. The board takes public comment on all regular agenda items during the discussion of those items. Do we have any public comment? 8:36. Okay. We'll move on to number 4, the consent agenda. A, consider approving the September 22nd, 2021 meeting minutes. B, consider approving the necessary corporation disbursements. C, consider approving non-professional services pest control agreement by and between the City of San Angelo Development Corporation and Bug Express, and authorizing the board president or the designee to execute all necessary documents. For D, consider approving a non-professional services electric repair and maintenance agreement by and between the City of San Angelo Development Corporation and MC Electric, and authorizing the board president or their designee to execute all necessary documents. For E, consider approving an insurance agreement by and between the City of San Angelo Development Corporation and Sam Tambunga Insurance, providing for insurance coverage at the Business Resource Center, and authorizing the board president or their designee to execute all necessary documents. For F, consider approving a non-professional services landscaping services agreement by and between the City of San Angelo Development Corporation and Pole Contracting Company, and authorizing the board president or their designee to execute all necessary documents. And G, consider approving an agreement with Mammoth Services LLC for roof rehabilitation at the Business Resource Center through TIPS contract 210205 in the amount of $188,688, and authorizing the board president or the designee to execute all necessary documents.
I'll make the motion we approve the consent agenda.
Do we have a second? Second. Okay, first by Director Barrio, second by Director Freeze. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to number 5, the regular agenda. A, presentation regarding Region 9 Upper Colorado Regional Floodplain Public Input Initiative. Presentation by Shannon McMillan, Centurion Planning and Design.
Hi there.
Morning.
How are y'all?
Good, how are you?
Thank you for allowing me to present to you guys today about our Region 9 Flood Planning Group. It's newly formed, probably about a year old. I am their newest board member for environmental interests. And I just wanted to talk to you about our interactive initiative to get some public input for the region. The input that you guys would provide would allow us to develop a plan for our region and essentially fund some mitigation projects for flood issues. So the Region 9 flood plan it came about from historic flooding, obviously Harvey, and people started realizing, oh, these flooding events are coming all over Texas and they're becoming an issue, and we need to focus statewide on developing a plan for floods. So in 2019, the Texas legislature created the funding mechanism for that, and then they cut up the state into different regions and voluntold everyone to develop a plan for their region. So our region plans are due in January of 2023, and then the legislature will adopt our plans and form all those together to become a Texas state flood plan. They're updated every 5 years. They're very similar to a water plan. It's kind of the same schematics of a state water plan. It's just for flooding issues. And you can visit the Texas Water Development Board flood planning websites for all the different types of regions. This is our region here. As you can see, it's quite large. And has quite a bit of different basins. So we have done presentations all over the region for different communities so that we not only get input from the city of San Angelo and Tom Green County, but we get input from the entire region, so we're not just focusing our efforts on one area. And that's why it's important that we have public input, because it's very difficult for everyone to know every flooding issue in a city without the public putting that information in our path. As a stakeholder, the insight that anyone has regarding being a flood professional or someone that has a little bit of background in those issues and putting in those, we have a survey for stakeholders that allows them to put in their input, their thoughts, their ideas, their issues, and those help us create a plan that encompasses everyone, every neighborhood, every issue that's identified in our region. Because we all know that there's no one-size-fits-all, no cookie-cutter plan. It has to be catered to each section of our region. And the benefit is that by doing this, it creates a funding opportunity for us to actually fund those projects. So this is our City of San Angelo Water Utilities website for the Region 9 flood plan. This is where you can put on any information on the stakeholder section, or you can fill out, you can utilize our interactive map that allows you to share your input on flooding issues in your neighborhoods. So this is the interactive map. It's really cool. You just click on the little section where you have noted some flooding issues or taken pictures or experienced historical flooding problems there, and you can actually put a pin in that location. When you do that, that information is provided to our technical experts that help build the plan and identify projects. Because the major component of this first round is identifying projects that minimize risk, flood loss, and loss of life. And once we identify those, then we can put them in our plan and hopefully get them funded whenever the funding rolls out. It's a very easy GIS layer if you know how to use that, but it's very user-friendly, and if you're interested in that and providing input, which is why I'm here, we would appreciate it, and it would help your community. And we also encourage you, if you're interested in sharing this with other people that are in the region that may not be within Tom Green County or the City of San Angelo, that you provide that information to them as well. I'll be more than happy to forward that along, and I can give you my contact information. And these are our technical consultants, Curtis, Heather, and Susan Roth, and then our president is Allison Struby. So if you have any more technical questions, those are also good contacts as well. And I appreciate your time if you don't have any questions.
I do just have one quick question. When you showed the general map of the region, I was trying to study that real quick.
And
Seems like everything generally flows to the southeast. Is it the Colorado River?
Yeah, this is the upper Colorado River basin. Okay. Yes, sir. And then we do have, Midland and Odessa in there as well, and some of those areas that really don't have huge flooding issues because of riverine, but other issues as well that need to be noted.
Okay. So everything flows out the east via the Colorado?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
No problem. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Shannon. Appreciate it. Okay, moving on to 5B, update on current Keep San Angelo Beautiful initiatives, presentation by Charlotte Anderson, Executive Director of Keep San Angelo Beautiful. Good morning.
So thank you for having us today. We're very excited to be here and share a little update and information on our organization. First, would like to again thank you for allowing us to be in the offices with COSA DC. It's a great partnership, and we're just so grateful for the amenities that we receive. Our work that we do would not be as successful without your support. So thank you again for that. For those that don't know, our mission is to create awareness and maintain clean, green, and beautiful spaces through art, science, and education. And we pledge to take action each and every day to promote thriving communities, safe neighborhoods, and beautification to enhance economic growth and development in San Angelo. So here we have our recent ribbon cutting, and we were very excited to do that on the river. It was a beautiful day. Since then, we've had over 154 programs. We've received over 28 grants, participated in 35 webinars, and are continuing to do our work. We're going to skip this little video here so we can move a little bit further. Let's go. There we go. Okay, this is our children's program, our KSAB Junior Ambassadors. We've provided about 2,500 lessons to over 28 after-school programming students. They take a pledge not to litter and to recycle when they can. They receive a certificate. We also gave away bicycles on the campuses as well. We tried to make the correlation between the excitement in a bicycle to recycling. They receive several activities, sorting, identifying, and again, they are just really excited. We also had a contest with some of our TLCA students as well. Let's move on. We also have business ambassadors. So First Community here is one, and what the First Community business ambassador does is she's a liaison for volunteers for our community. They also are donors to our projects as well, and so this is one of the groups that participated in the fall sweep last year, but they are a very big supporter in providing not only volunteers, but donations as well. We have a voice at the table. We celebrate diversity and inclusion. We want everyone to be a part and share information and things that are important to them in the environment in San Angelo. So we've had probably 12 of those meetings and reached out to over about 50 plus businesses. Here's our first hazardous waste event that was just fantastic. We collected over 44,000 pounds of debris. Our second event, we collected over about 33,000 pounds of debris. We did about 900 gallons of oil, about 5,000 pounds of shredding, about 180 pounds on cardboard, 50 or so batteries, and those beautiful tires. So we're real happy to celebrate. We've removed over 10,000 tires from the community between March and September this year. So real excited about that. We did give away a couple of bicycles. We celebrated with little Miss Ella Elkins. Her mission is to remove as many plastic bags so that our marine life is not impacted in our oceans, lakes, rivers, and streams. And she broke her world record collecting over 8,000 plastic bags at our last event. So we're real proud to support her. Cleanups, we've had about 21 cleanups this year. Again, about 8,260 pounds. The cleanup on the top is our fall sweep that we just concluded with this last weekend. We had a fantastic turnout, just a wonderful turnout. As you can see, several different groups participated. I think we had 23 different groups at that event. The most interesting item, they found a little kitten on the Red Arroyo by itself under a box and some papers. Probably 5 or 6 weeks old, and they took the little kitten with them. So that was great for the day. Our partners here at the bottom, that would be the left corner, that is a group from Lee Middle School. So they needed some service hours, and this was in the middle of COVID, and they didn't have a place to turn to get their requirements met. So that was part of the citywide cleanup that the mayor called for. We were real happy to participate in that. We had some events already scheduled, so that was a win-win for everybody. And here's some other activities that we participated in. We did do Leadership San Angelo this year. That was fantastic. We did Sleep Out for Solidarity with our homeless. Again, we had a cleanup under the bridge at 69th, at Highway 67 in Chadbourne. So that was a great event. Our Girl Scouts participated in Earth Day, and that was a wonderful event as well. And trees, let's talk about trees. 100 trees last year. We got 150 trees coming this year. All of our schools received a couple of trees each, so SAISD is very instrumental in doing that. We also reached out to our private schools where they received trees as well. So that would be Cornerstone, Ambleside Trinity, San Angelo Christian Academy, TLCA, and then TLC Kidsway. So happy the YMCA as well. We did a beautification project at the airport, which we're real proud of, with the Lower Colorado River Authority and assistance through our airport to have an irrigation-free, beautiful landscape. So xeriscape with cactus, they're growing in beautifully, and we would love to plant some more in there. So that turned out really well. We're grateful for our partnerships on that. Did participate in the Star Spangled Banner concert. We handed out fans for the event, and we handed out trash bags as well to all the participants that were at the event. So that was really a special time and a fun event. We probably handed out maybe 1,500 fans and hundreds of bags. So we also cleaned up thereafter on the Chadbourne Street Bridge, had a little bit of debris in the morning, so we ran out there and picked that up as we could. And so again, just wrapping up, we want to recognize some of our accomplishments. We were featured in the San Angelo Lifestyles magazine in the summer edition. Just so very proud of that. We got our proclamation from the mayor in the city. We recognize our firefighters. Again, Leadership San Angelo was a fantastic event for us to participate with. We are a Gold Star affiliate, and that is from our Keep Texas Beautiful affiliation. We also received an award of excellence from the Governor's Community Association program. Sorry, it's a lot to get through there. So I'm real excited on our accomplishments. We've included over 567 volunteers with over 2,114 hours. That's a value to the community of over $57,000. So very proud to bring the groups together to have an impact and provide results for the city through trash pickups, hazardous waste, and then again, our beautification events. We've had over 127 public-private partnerships with different businesses all over the city and the state. So thank you again for your support and all you do to allow us to keep San Angelo beautiful so San Angelo can do beautiful things. Do we have any questions? Do we have time for questions? Any questions? Super.
I don't have any questions, but it seems I had no idea that y'all had done so much in such a short amount of time. So wonderful job.
Thank you.
Thank you, Charlotte.
Okay.
Moving on to 5C, consider approving the September 2021 financial statements. Presentation by Tina Diersky, Director of Finance.
Good morning, Board. I have for you this morning your year-end financial statements that are unaudited. We ended the year at $1.6 million over our revenue budget, which is great news. And for the month of September, we saw an increase of 9.38% to sales tax revenue. In October, however, we saw a decrease of 7.71%. That was largely due to a big audit adjustment that had been made by the state the previous October. So year over year, we actually saw an increase of 7%, or over a 2-year period, we saw an increase. But with that large audit adjustment last year, it kind of skewed the numbers for this October. Let's see, we showed a 7% growth overall for this year in sales tax revenue. Moving on to your balance sheet, you'll see that we continue to monitor cash flows and investments in an effort to maximize our yield there. I also want to point out that our unassigned fund balance on the economic development side is at about $6.7 million, which has grown from last year where it was at $4.7 million. And there's about $3.4 million currently set aside for projects on the economic development side. Moving on to your income statement, you will see where sales tax revenue was again over budget by 17%. That's largely due to our conservative approach to budgeting for sales tax revenue. We also did pay the city services contract this quarter, as well as a few minor administrative expenses, and had a large payout go for the U.S. Customs Phase 2 project. On your ballot balance sheet, we're building up some unassigned fund balance there of about $4.7 million. That's up from $3.3 million of unassigned fund balance last year, the same time. And on the ballot side income statement, you'll see that budget was in excess of revenue for sales tax over $1 million. We also, again, paid the city services contract as well as some payments for debt service. And then, of course, the Fort Stockton water rights payment went out as well of about $500,000. So that's what I have for your presentation this morning. Do you have any questions for me?
No? All right, thank you, Tina.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Do we need a motion?
I'll make the motion that we approve that.
I'll second.
And on action items, if you'll take public comment.
Okay.
please.
Do we have any public comment this time?
Good morning, Board.
Max,
Um,
Max, excuse me.
In,
Okay, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
go ahead.
We're doing public comment
On the
I'm
finance?
sorry.
financial statements.
So being-
Can you tell me who did the first and who did the second? It went pretty fast for me.
Okay, Director Barrio
Effort.
and Carrasco. No public comment on item C? Okay. And we'll close it for public comment, 8:56. Then we have the motion. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Okay. Now, moving on to item D. Consider resolution approving the demolition of a home located at 10 West Avenue Q and authorizing the board president or designee to negotiate and execute all necessary documents related to the sale or conveyance of such property to the city of San Angelo in a form approved by the city attorney's office and subject to the acceptance and approval by the city council. Presentation by Bob Silas, Director of Neighborhood and Family Services.
Well, good morning again.
Morning.
I jumped the gun a little bit. In 2010, we provided gap financing for a project on 10 West Avenue Q. The property at the time was not in a designated floodplain, nor was it declared a flood area by the sellers. So we approved the sale. Unfortunately, the first big rain caused major flooding damage, and over the course of after several years, the client experienced continual flooding problems. So we came to the board and asked if we could buy that back, and we did in 2017, with the understanding that and the hope that we'd be able to resell it at one point after the Avenue P project, the flood mitigation project, was completed. This is the flooding prior to the Avenue P project. You can see it was pretty extensive. It caused a lot of damage. This is the house on Avenue Q. You can see it's almost a foot and a half, 2 feet of water damage. You can see the line. Unfortunately, after the property still sees flooding, not quite as bad. Even though the Avenue P retention ponds have been constructed, it still floods. So, Operations agrees that the property should not be resold. Instead, we are recommending demolition, and then we transfer the property over to Operations to help with flood mitigation and to ensure that it never gets sold again. We're asking council for approval so we can continue and demolish that property and transfer it.
Any questions from the board? We'll take a motion.
Motion?
Garland, okay. Director Freeze, okay, we have
I'll
first.
second it.
Second by Director Barrio. Any discussion?
I'll just add a comment that I was on the board back when all those problems occurred, and this is simply tying up the loose ends. We did the right thing by buying the home back and Since the property is not proven viable, this is the only real thing we can do with it.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Bob.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Public comment, sorry, jumping the gun. All right, we'll open it up for public comment. It is 8:59. Seeing none, we'll close public comment. And I guess we'll do the motion. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No, motion carries. Thank you. Okay, moving on to item E. Consider resolution authorizing a project under chapters 501 and 505 of the Texas Local Government Code to utilize sales and use tax funds in an amount not to exceed $3 million to fund improvements to airport facilities, to include the GTE hangar pursuant to a public-private partnership agreement with Skyline Aviation, Inc., subject to city council approval, authorizing the board president to negotiate and execute all necessary documents, and further authorizing the following in conjunction with the project. 1, appointing the Director of Economic Development or their designee to act as the development corporation's authorized representative under the public-private partnership agreement with Skyline Aviation, Inc., and 2, authorize the board president to negotiate and execute a lease agreement between the development corporation and the city of San Angelo for lease of the property located at 8534 Hangar Road, San Angelo, Texas, 76904. And 3, pursuant to section 505.1561 of the Texas Local Government Code, authorize the board president to negotiate and execute a lease agreement between the development corporation and Skyline Aviation, Inc. for sublease of the property located at 8534 Hangar Road, San Angelo, Texas, 76904.
Thank you. Guy Andrews, Director of Economic Development for the City of San Angelo Development Corporation. I don't need to remind this board, but I'll always start off the presentation that our economic development mantra is planes, trains, and automobiles. We've been very successful in terms of automobiles with the I-27 and I-14 efforts. Both of those are in the Transportation Infrastructure Bill, so we made great progress in that arena. Railport, it's a public-private partnership with the South Plains Lamesa Railroad that has proceeded way above our expectations. Our focus now is on planes and the airport. We've actually began focusing to a certain extent by doing a airport master plan a couple of years ago to help determine the future concept for the future of the airport. We also did a study for development outside the airport. We cleared 14 acres on reclamation property across from the airport to beautify that, so as you're leaving the airport that you don't just see a row of mesquite trees, that there's clearing there, and there's also monumentation that welcomes people to San Angelo. And just recently, there's been pavement improvements at the airport. All the main roads in have been paved and in front of the terminal. You saw in Charlotte's presentation, she's done a beautification project in there. So we're always looking for opportunities. One of the things that you are aware of is the GTE or Mitsubishi hangar at the airport has fallen into a lot of disrepair. The front port part of that actually, according to the airport director that invited me to take a tour of that, that it has rattlesnakes in it. I opted not to go there. Discretion is the better part of valor. That hangar is not sprinkled. That's always been a contentious issue with that and other things that have happened around that hangar. So what we're proposing today, we've had Skyline Aviation has come in with a proposal for a public-private partnership between the City of San Angelo Development Corporation. Our financial commitment to that would be not to exceed $3 million in making those improvements. And this is a project that's authorized under our Texas Local Government Code, Section 505.1561. This project has some great deliverables in it. First of all, the first would be to reskin that GTE hangar. Also, in the process, it would rehabilitate the commercial apron around that, construct new rental car parking, new general use parking, and then constructing adjoining office and conference space. And so what our focus is on this is improving that facility and the facility surrounding it for the airport while partnering with Skyline that is going to put several $1 million in the project as well to develop a portion of it. So under the terms of what we are asking for in our agreement is that Skyline Aviation would act as the construction manager at risk. They would ensure completion of all the project deliverables that we just showed you, with a guaranteed maximum financial commitment from City of San Angelo Development Corporation of $3 million. And the construction manager at risk is financially liable for any cost overruns or contingencies that arise throughout the project. Now, what that allows us to do is that the private entity takes the risk in this project. It also ensures that this project's completed much quicker. We don't have to go through the procurement processes and that sort of thing. We would serve as the owner of this project, maintaining oversight and approval authority. The board of directors would appoint an authorized representative to execute the project documents. The authorized representative would liaise with Skyline's construction manager to review and approve project documents, our agreements, change orders, payment applications in an efficient manner. We would also, the city serves in an advisory capacity, providing technical expertise and access to the project site. City's airport director, Jeremy Valgartson, will advise COSA DC's authorized representative and Skyline's construction manager and participate in the review and approval process for project documents. So we're ensuring that that construction takes place according to all the standards and that we maintain oversight in the project, that it's done to the standards that we're expecting. In terms of statutory requirements, our Texas local government code does allow us to do this, and these are the particular items in that local government code that authorize this type of project. So it is an authorized project. The Development Corporation does have to maintain a leasehold and interest revenue sharing portion of this. So per our statute, the Development Corporation must acquire leasehold interest in the GT hangar from the City of San Angelo. The Development Corporation would sublease the hangar to Skyline Aviation. The City of San Angelo would retain ownership of the hangar and 100% of the lease revenues. Again, this is a project to help the airport out. It's what we do is coming alongside this project to help develop the airport and to make sure that they have a revenue stream that allows them to maintain and improve the airport. And then per statute, Skyline Aviation would also be authorizing to sublease their interest for other eligible projects. So the staff recommendation, and it's included in your agenda item there, would be to authorize an amount not to exceed $3 million for this, to improve airport facilities, to include the GTE hangar, pursuant to public-private partnership development agreement with Skyline Aviation. It's also subject to City Council approval, and it authorizes the board president to negotiate and execute all necessary documents, and further authorizing the following in conjunction with the project. And you'd read those, but I will read them again. They would be appointing the Director of Economic Development, myself, or their designee to act as the Development Corporation's authorized representative under the public-private partnership agreement with Skyline Aviation. authorizing execution of a lease agreement between the Development Corporation and the City of San Angelo for lease of the property located at 8534 Hanger Road. And then pursuant to the section of the Local Government Code authorizing the execution of a lease agreement between the Development Corporation and Skyline Aviation for sublease of the property for a 5-year initial term with 3 options to renew for additional 5-year terms. So I would entertain questions that you might have.
I have a question on the lease. Has it already been predetermined what the lease will be?
We have negotiated, and so we do have some agreements, but until we actually get in and negotiate the contract, and at that time, once all of these are documented, they will come back for final approval. Once an agreement's reached, the lease terms are outlined and all of that. So those have been drafted. Again, we've reached some tentative agreements on it, but what this action does is actually authorizes the project and allows us to proceed with that negotiation and developing the contracts and leases.
What's the expected timeline on completing all those projects?
Well, hopefully, if this is approved today, we would then take it to council. There is, by law, a 60-day waiting period where we have to publish it out to the public. We could begin construction, or Skyline could begin construction as early as January of next year. We also have to, in the process, inform, there is a month-to-month lease on the hangar at this time. We have to inform and take action in council to terminate that monthly lease. And so once we get all the documentation and everything in place and determine a start date, we want to give those parties adequate time to make other arrangements as construction begins.
But, assuming from construction to completion, we're talking 2 years, 3 years? What are we?
No, I don't think it's that long. We do have Skyline representatives, and they may have an estimate. I don't recall that one right now, but let me just check that. A year at the most is what they're saying. So a year to 18 months is typically any foreseen delays and that sort of thing. So the project would happen very quickly under this particular scenario. If the city were to undertake this project and bid it out and do all the other work, you're probably looking at a 3-year project.
Any other questions from the board? No? All right, thank you, Guy. I guess at this point we'll open it up to public comment. Was there a motion first?
I'll go ahead and make the motion to accept this proceed with this resolution as published and as presented without change.
I'll second.
First by Director Barrio, second by Director Lara. Any discussion? Now we open it up to public comment. It is 9:13. Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Okay, motion passes. Thank you. Okay, moving on to number 6, follow-up and administrative issues. Consideration and possible actions of items discussed in closed session, if needed, and B, announcements and consideration of future agenda items. It is 9:13. Do we have any items? No? Okay, so we'll move on to number 7, adjournment. Do I have a motion for adjournment?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, we have a first by Director Lara, second by Director Carrasco. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.